From the coffee table to the conference table, sit back and listen. If you're looking for a refreshing point of view on a variety of topics, look no further.
Grab your favorite drink, kick back, and get ready for some lively conversation with myself, DWAYNE Turnsill.
And I'm Sissy.
And this is Extra Scoop Podcast.
We'll be giving you anything but bite-sized.
Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome. Good evening, everybody. I want to welcome you to Extra Scoop Podcast, where we're anything but bite-sized. I want to welcome you in on this Wednesday. This has been a glorious day so far, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. I was going to have another topic today, but I decided to switch up and talk about mental health and the mental health crisis in our land that we just don't talk about too much. Also talking about the different variations of mental health. There was a situation on this past weekend involving the family that we have been advocating for, and I wanted to speak generally about it, not really just getting into the details of the moment, but more so of the moment of the whys. A lot of times in our communities, especially the Black community, or the African American community and the brown community, that's our Latino communities, we don't talk too much about the mental health aspect of our lives, the things that we deal with, the different moments that we have to deal with, our family issues, our life issues, serving in the military, which a lot of us go and do to bridge our lives and start our lives. We don't talk about a lot of the experiences that we have because a lot of times we're told to bottle it up, especially as men. We're told to suck it up, find a way to deal with it, all these different things. And we most time don't succeed with being able to adjust from those mental health issues. A lot of times we have childhood traumas and events that affect us into our adulthood. We have neighborhood things that affect us sometime in the upbringing, the places where we grew up, situations in school, bullying, all those different things. But in this situation that happened over this weekend with a family that we advocate for, Christopher Nienhuis and his family, we're dealing with a moment of PTSD. And for those who are not familiar, PTSD is post-traumatic stress syndrome, and it's basically caused from traumatic events that have happened, witnessing traumatic events, being a part of traumatic events that's in your life, and those things come back to be a part of your mental or your psyche. And so in this situation, we're dealing with Mr. Nienhuis, which is Mark Nienhuis, the father of Christopher Nienhuis, which was the young man who was being accosted in Midlothian, Texas, and by a group of young people, and he was retreating. And while he was retreating, he took out a knife to defend himself, ended up slicing one of the young men. That young man whose father is a Ellis County Sheriff's officer, actually pressed charges against Christopher Nienhuis, and now he's currently facing charges for that. We also have in this incident, he is now facing the charges for that. His father over the weekend was actually involved in the situation with his family, and it was a moment basically involving his PTSD. He was diagnosed um, about 10 years ago, with PTSD. He was also just recently diagnosed with bipolarism, and he's been struggling. He's been struggling here for the past few months, partly due to the stress of his son's case. And I'm talking about Mr. Nienhuis, that is Mark Nienhuis, because his son's case, family uh, dynamic, because of the situation, a lot of stressors that's involved there, and so his family was trying to, give him some help and trying to be there for him. So they had called for some help on last Friday, and while calling for that help, they did come out. Midlothian PD sent out a stress team. They came out, helped out. They took his weapons for that moment, and they were able to, kind of move on from that moment at that time. Uh, After that, they, I want to say he left because I don't think he was at the home for that weekend. He left. Some conversation was had. He actually came back to the house on Sunday, on Easter Sunday, and they had an incident. And that incident basically uh, led to them having arguments. He went to his vehicle, retrieved his weapon, and began to fire upon the home. And one of the bullets struck his 11-year-old daughter, and in the leg. She was treated and released the next day. Mr. Nienhuis, at that moment in time, in his moment of of uh, of need, because he was suffering from PTSD, he actually took a knife and he punctured his neck, wounded himself, and the police came, rushed him to the hospital. He had surgery, and so he's in stable condition right now, and so he's, I guess, holding on. You might as well say. I think they have him in a medically induced coma, if I want to believe right. And I don't know if formal charges have been charged against him yet for the incident, but he's in a real bad place mentally, now physically. His family is in a bad place, and I know from others that his wife, Mrs. Nienhuis, wants us to really pray for him, for the family. She wanted everyone to know that she loves her husband. She's been with her husband. They've been together and knowing each other since they were 15 in high school. They've been married for over 19 years, I believe. And so this is a tight knit family. He is a military veteran, 13 years. Um, he was honorably discharged. He also is a recipient twice of the Purple Heart. That means that he was actually intricate in rescuing other soldiers in the field in the theater of war. And so this young man served his country, and I think in return we kind of let him slip out through the loopholes of not being there and doing the things we need to do for him to keep him stabilized for himself and his family. He was getting help, he was getting some counseling or whatever. But as men, it's kind of hard sometimes for us to, especially men of color, to seek out the help that's necessary all the time. And sometimes the community at large does a disservice to us when we do find avenues. Um, they sometimes, as a community, can bring more stress and more problems to the situation instead of helping the situation. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that today, because it is a moment um, that's a tragedy by all um, points of this moment. But I want to speak to the almost the spiritual side of this moment. I know I remember on this past weekend, he was on my mind. I was going to reach out to him and check on him on Tuesday, actually. And I was traveling, so that's why I said Tuesday. But Saturday and Sunday, he was on my mind, so I was praying and praying for him and praying for him. And once I heard about this on Monday morning, um, and I got details of it, I immediately went to the moment of this. His family had already been working on trying to get him some intervention. And that intervention looked like this. They were going to have the Midlothian Police Department to come out and do what they call a tactical well-being check. So basically, they were going to come, get him, remove him, and take him to get help. Um, that is kind of the thing that we have in society been doing here lately a lot. And what we found out over the past few decades as people of color, our worst enemy most times are the people that we say oppress us the most. And even though we know that these non-emergency numbers are supposed to be mental health specialists and all those different things, 'cause that's what they were created for, they're most time not. There are law enforcement officers dressed up in tactical gear that's coming to remove your loved one for you. And when they do that, they usually come and we get the stories that we have gotten over the past few decades of, I only called you to help my son. I only called you to help my husband. I only called you to help my daughter or help my wife. And yet you shot her, yet you stabbed her, yet you abused her, yet you choked her out. And those are the things and the stories that we hear. And so I am almost glad that Sunday happened the way it did, not for the fact of the things that happened, but because Monday never happened. Because if Monday happened, you would have had tactical officers showing up to the Neenheis house in Midlothian, Texas, to remove a combat veteran who is suffering with PTSD for the past decade, who was just recently diagnosed with bipolarism, who had just recently had issues with his family over the weekend, and you're going to ask uniform officers to come and be the mediator in between that combat trained veteran, and his family and safety. That was not going to turn out well. And I think we need to start revisiting as a whole what we do and how we effectively deal with those who are dealing with uh, mental illness in this country. PTSD in this country specifically, because we assign PTSD, when you hear it, we immediately think of veterans and the Army and the military and the Marines and whatever the case may be. But people suffering from PTSD come from all walks of life. You can get PTSD from the work site because of some tragedy that happened or some situation. You can have PTSD from your upbringing, the way your parents treated you, the things that you had to deal with and witness in the community. PTSD comes from many places. And so we have to do a better job uh, in our communities. And this goes for anyone, not depending on your racial breakdown or makeup, but just as the human race. We have to do a better job of identifying those who are struggling mentally. And once we identify, let's start getting together as a community, helping those people to progress through their day daily and get the mental help that they need daily. Not just peeking in every now and then, not just saying, oh, we'll let the mental health professionals deal with it. No, identifying it and helping it. One thing I did read from his son, his older son, uh, Markel, I believe it was, is that he noticed when he looked at his dad's eyes on that morning that it just wasn't right. And so, knowing that, and him knowing also his dad had been struggling already, it would have been so beneficial for someone to be able to, outside of the family dynamic, to have also recognized that and been like, hey Mark, hey man, let's go talk over here, or hey Mark, hey, come hang out with me for a little bit, just to give him a separation from the reality of all the things that was pressing down on him, all the things that he was remembering and having nightmares about from the theater of war, from the reality of his life, from his son fighting for his freedom, from his family having to comfort his son and dealing with all the things and all the people that are just like today on TikTok, villainizing his name, villainizing his family, villainizing things that they don't even understand or didn't even sign up to even try to understand. But those are the things that we do not pay attention to. But those are the reality of most combat veterans. Those are the things that people don't really pay attention to um, that much when it comes to mental health, and especially for our veterans, because our veterans go through so much. Because you got to think about it, all veterans in this time and age signed up to go and be a part and participate in our military, regardless of what branch they chose. They signed up, they volunteered, and they signed up to protect this country from all enemies, foreign and domestic. They knew that at some point they would have to lay down their lives or protect someone else's lives. They knew that. I knew that when I signed up, and I did it in 1991. And so I understood that. They understood that. However, what we don't understand is the effect or the effects of the things that you see, the things you're involved in, the things that you're asked to do on a daily in the military that will affect you for a lifetime. And in those things, we have to understand it about our veterans. So when you see that veteran on the street that can't get right, that can't go and function on a regular job or can't go in their regular home, and they have a place to go, but they can't go, they got to just live on the street. We have to give grace to them and understand that they're dealing with something. They're dealing with a beast that most people cannot understand. And it's both physically, mentally, and spiritually, all three wrapped up in one. And so we have to be able to understand those things and not do what I saw today on TikTok. Many of those same people that villainize other people for other incidents, they villainize Carmelo Anthony, they villainize Tristan Weekly, and he was the victim in the situation. They victimized or villainized Christopher Nienhuis in his situation when the video surely showed that those people were aggressing him and he was retreating the whole time. They villainized it. And now they villainizing Mark Nienhuis and Christopher Nienhuis at the same time today because of the incident that happened on Sunday. Not having any empathy, not having any sympathy, not just having an inch or a moment of humanity. They chose to say it's stolen valor. They chose to say, look, the apple don't fall too far from the tree. They chose all those things. And that shows their character. That shows their integrity or lack thereof. It also shows what we've become as a society, that we don't care about any of the things that anybody else have going on until it happens to us. We don't care about those things. And being that man has shown his face on many social media platforms, he's been on my podcast twice, on this gracious network. We've talked to him twice. I know that our gracious host Angela has talked to him as well in the family. He and his wife, and he's always been gracious, always been nice, always been kind. And so his mental illness, his mental health was always hidden in the background of the man that we saw. I met the man at his son's bail hearing. He made sure he came and shook my hand, looked me right in the eyes, and I saw the struggle through his eyes. I understood that as a fellow veteran. I understood the mental breakdown that he was having. And so since I understood that, I knew that I need to understand that and also reach out on that basis. And that's what I did. I did it continuously. And so for everyone else to not even think that this is a struggle for the Nienhuis family, for the Anthony family, for the Weekly family, for the Metcalf family, and for countless other families that are out there with missing loved ones, with loved ones that's been abused by the cops, and we had people that were strange fruited on trees and everything down in Mississippi. Those families are hurting. Those families are missing folks. Those families are still trying to get questions and questions answered. And we as a society have become so void of humanity that we don't even think to those things first. We go straight to villainizing someone. We go straight to our dogma. and our own understanding of things rather than even taking a beat of a second to think, wait a minute, let me think this thing through. Let me think maybe this thing is a little bit bigger than myself or bigger than other folks. And I think that is what we're missing. That is what we're missing in this entire moment of mental health is the humanity of it all. And PTSD is something that is passe to a lot of people. They think of it, be like, well, hey, it is what it is. But PTSD is something that people have been triggered and dealing with since the Vietnam War and beyond. I think the Vietnam War is probably the first time they start actually realizing that these soldiers were coming back with all kind of issues and all kind of problems. And since that's the case, um, we as a society have to do a better job at recognizing those who are suffering from PTSD, bipolarism, mental health, and all the different categories that come up into it. Um, and at those moments, not just shunning them away, not to deal with them, but we have to start first praying for them, um, finding solutions for them, finding outlets for them, finding ways to assist those families that are overburdened by the mental health of their loved one. Because the Nienhuis family was overburdened by a lot of things, and still are. Now they have more burdens on a lot of things, even though they were trying to get help. That help caused even more burdens. And we have to get to a place to where we understand that. And those of us that know, I suffer from PTSD, so I know we have to do a better job of educating those. And when we identify someone that is suffering from PTSD or other mental health or bipolarism or any of those things, the severe depression, all anxiety, whatever those things may be able to identify and help those people through. Sometimes they need the spiritual help. Sometimes they need the mental breakdown and the mental help. Sometimes they just need the compassion and the humanity of someone just being there, taking them out to eat, paying for their dinner, giving them a reset from the things that are the stressors of their life. Those are the things that we as society have dropped the ball on because we don't do that kind of stuff no more. It's about me and mine, and that's it. We don't even think about the norms or the compassion that we're supposed to have as humanity. A lot of us call ourselves Christians. We go to church, we give our tithes, and the first thing Jesus said is love thy neighbor as thyself. And most of us, we quote it, but do we really even love ourselves? Because we can't if we're not loving humanity. Because Jesus said to love thyself, love love your neighbor as you love thyself. And most people don't even love themselves. They don't like themselves. They can't stand themselves. So that's why they can't even have the compassion to help the next person. And I seen that today. I was riding and driving on I-10 on this road and just listening to live after live and person after person and listening to what they were saying. And I was saying to myself, they cannot love themselves. How can you love yourself when you can't love the next person? And how can you say you give love to the next person when the love that you say you're giving, it's not love. It's not loving at all. It's really hatred. It's really evil. And since it's evil, then that means that you really don't love yourself. You really don't even like yourself. You can't stand yourself. And since you can't, that's the same vitriol that you give out to the masses. And so we have to understand that. And at some point, we as a society have to get back first of finding out who we are. Take a self-checkout, a checklist of yourself, and see if you really do love yourself. And if you really do, now you can reset and you can see about loving someone else. Because sometimes that's all it takes. Sometimes it just takes someone recognizing that someone's having a bad day and being able to speak to them and reset that person's whole life. but we can't because we're so in our dogma of in our corners and our religious beliefs and our doctrinal beliefs and what our mama told us and what we think we believe, and we forget that there's a human quality to each and every one of us, regardless of our background, and there's supposed to be a spiritual, loving nature in each one of us. That's what we say we're supposed to be, and regardless of what you subscribe to as far as your belief system, whether you're a Christian, whether you're just spiritual, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a Buddhist, whatever you think that you are, and all those things, you still supposed to have love and loving thyself and loving those who are around you. And so we have to subscribe to that. We have to get into a place to where we understand that. We have to get into a place to where we know exactly what it is we're supposed to do. And so with that, I want to make sure that those who are listening, that you first seek out those things in your life that will bring you into a perspective of learning, understanding, and knowing exactly what it is that you're supposed to do. And in that, learning that there are other people out there that may just need your smile. There are other people out there that just may need your hello. There are other people out there that just may need a connection of you just giving them an affirmation that everything is going to be okay. Because everyone's day is not always going good. Everyone's day is not always at peace. And so aren't we supposed to be that light that shines in the darkness? Aren't we supposed to be that peace and know that peace that passeth all understanding? That's what the scriptures say. And so if we are really into the scriptures like we say we are, then aren't we supposed to be the indicative example of those things, of giving them that peace, give them that understanding, give them that roadmap to be able to reset, to get their minds right. So let's concentrate on that. I want us to really concentrate on that, to give us that perspective of making sure we look out for the next person, to make sure that when we identify someone struggling, take out that time just to speak. Take out that time just to say hello. Take out that time just to ask, are you okay? And sometimes someone may surprise you and say, no, I'm not okay. And if they say they're not okay, see what you can do to give them the help that they need. Because that is what mental health awareness is. Just being aware that someone is not having a bad day, that someone may not be on their P's and Q's at that time, that someone may be having an episode from PTSD, that they may be having a bipolar episode. And we that are spiritual, we have to get on our P's and Q's of understanding. God gives us discernment for a reason. Use your discernment. And when you see that someone's struggling spiritually or struggling with all these different things, PTSD and bipolarism and mental health and all this different levels of struggle that they're in, use your spiritualness to reset them. Use your spirituality to reach them in a place where you may not even know how to do it. But God will lead you through the Spirit to be able to give them that tool that they need that day to be able to move forward. It's time for us to step up. It's the kingdom work. It's past just being on this earth to make money and to smile and say this is that and that and this. At some point, we have to get back to kingdom work. At some point. And so this is as good a time as not for us to step up and step up to the plate and start calling those things into existence as though they were, and speaking the spirituality into people's lives, even though they may not be spiritual themselves. Yeah, God gave you that kind of power. So you might as well go ahead and walk in it, because it's time out for all what I saw today, the evilness of people. It's time out for that. And the way we get away from that, stop participating. I'm going to stop looking at it. I'm going to stop listening to those people. And I'm going to start moving forward to where they need to be and where I need to be, and the things that I need to do in spirituality, in the walk of life. So those who need the light in the darkness, we can give it to. Those who are struggling mentally, we can give them that light. We can give them that smile that they need. We can give them that encouragement they need. We can give them that atmosphere they need through the Spirit. Let's start working on that. and start getting things where we need to be. And I just want everybody to be encouraged and know that, yes, times are hard. Yes, we have wars and rumors of wars. We have leadership that just can't get right. We have all those things. But one thing I do know is that we can set the atmosphere in every place that we are. And the only thing we have to do is just start speaking it, believing it, and doing it. And if we start walking in those things, then we can walk in the gifts that God has given us. And until we meet next time, I want you guys to know you can reach me at all my socials at DWAYNE Turn-Sip. And I just want everyone to know you can be at peace. You can be at peace. God can give you the peace that passes all understanding. Yes, he can. You can make it through the things that you're struggling with. Just know he got you. All you have to do is just put yourself in the place to where he can get you and he can be there for you. Reach out to someone. If you're struggling mentally, reach out to someone. Talk to someone. And by all means, if you have to reach out to the authorities because someone is doing something that you just can't deal with, by all means do it. And in the words of Markel, I'll leave it on this. He said he was thankful that his father taught him how to be a man enough to where he was able to stand up and protect his family from his own father. Just let that sink in. That is the man we're talking about. Mark Nienhuis, a real man, a man that raised his family. And even in his own crisis, his child was able to stand up and look at his father and fire warning shots to make his father stop because of the way he was raised. So let's keep ourselves in the right position in this moment and not get caught up in all the dogma. And until we meet again, remember this is Extra Scoop, where we are anything but bite size. Love you guys. Pray for you guys. And until next time, I say good evening and good night. Y'all have a good one.